Greetings, Wargamers. We're your hosts, Trevor,
Jay,
Josh,
and this is
Chain Attack.
Chain Attack is sponsored by Discount Games Incorporated. Discount Games Incorporated specializes in customer service, low prices, and prompt shipping. You can find our web store at www.discountgamesinc.com.
Welcome to Chain Attack. I'm your host, Trevor, and I have hit 400 hours on F1 Manager 22.
Wow.
I'm Jay, and in the pre-ramble we talked about how I gave Brian the most amazing Christmas present ever, but this is evidently my year because Trevor actually have a better claim of a better Christmas present. But
They just put out another update today. The game gets better and better and better. Like
nice.
many of the complaints that I had on the episode that we reviewed it and I talked about it, many, almost all, I don't know where, a bunch of those complaints are just gone. They have put out probably 4 updates since that episode, and the newest update that just came out today fixed some of the remaining kind of niggling issues that it had. I mean, it's still got a lot of features that's missing, but it's going to be, I mean, I believe they have a 4 or 5 year contract with the title. So
right.
There's going to be the F1 Manager 23 will have some of the features that maybe we're looking for, but a bunch of the just bugs, just the problems are all gone. So not that stopped me before. So
who else is on this line, Josh?
Wait, did you already say you? Did I lose track of you saying you?
Yes.
Oh, man. Dang me. I'm Josh, and I only have 40 hours in Phil Eklund's BIOS Earth trilogy series. I've played all the games now. I'm ready for a Phil Eklund game day, Trevor.
I'm ready. Just tell me when.
I know you. But we're playing John Company first.
That's fine. I'm ready for that too.
I am excited and also darkly amused that we will be starting a game at 7 a.m. That feels like old man kind of territory to me.
Well, the other person on the line, one Tony Riccio, is not an old person, but he is very much a morning person and would feel right at home at a 7 a.m. game time.
Yeah, absolutely.
How are you doing, Tony?
Not an old person. How many of us have had hip surgery? Just definitely raising my hand as I can tell when
challenge?
It's about the rain. No, great to be here, guys. Thanks for having me.
So Tony, can you do a little bit of a introduction?
So, long-time listener, second time on the podcast, the huge crush on all of the Chain Attack hosts, including former hosts.
Fully
Scott,
reciprocated, for the record. It's fully reciprocated.
Yes.
Are you counting the 2 times, including the time you came on and I interviewed you with Scott?
I am.
Oh, well, I don't know that counts, but that honestly,
that doesn't count, Tony.
hold on. Let me validate what I said. I don't think it counts because it wasn't necessarily Chain Attack, but I will say that it was probably the best set of podcasting I've ever done in my entire podcasting career, and it hurts me that there's so few people who've actually heard that episode because it is absolutely amazing.
It was a fundraiser, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got to hear the story of
Scott. Potentially,
Scott and Tony going
to
places of ill repute.
Oh my God, yeah, that was colorful. More people should have heard that story.
It's fantastic. I go back and listen to it every once in a while, and it just I die laughing.
It is so funny. So my background, I'm a big analytics nerd. Like I was an engineer at school and that's I do a lot of that stuff professionally. I like board games and specifically card games. I'm really into that. And I've been
weird that you and Trevor get along so well then, since we know how much he hates card games.
Polar opposite of me.
and I met most of these guys not on Jay's worldwide travels, but in war games.
And to
War
be fair,
Machine
that was
Awards.
part of my worldwide travels.
It was. I guess that was kind of, yeah, that's a half truth. Sorry for being a liar. But I
You're in
met
good
most of these
company.
guys playing miniature games, but my heart is predominantly in CCGs, and that's like Magic the Gathering and Hearthstone and Gwent and Eternal and all those. So I had a very provocative opinion on Marvel Snap after my start with it. I think that's somehow I got on this podcast.
All right, so before we dive into the main topic, I guess news and announcements with Discount Games Inc. Most of the battle forces from Games Workshop for the holidays are already sold out, but go check out those listings and get them while you can. There's some cool new releases for Marvel Crisis Protocol. We've got the Blob and Pyro have released, and the Weapon X program with new versions of Sabretooth and Wolverine are available as well. But it's the holiday season. As Trevor knows, gift cards are the best present that you can get anyone.
I
And
look at you.
and we do sell gift cards at Discount Games Inc. I know that it's sometimes a little bit difficult trying to explain exactly which Signar Warjack or Death Guard model you're wanting. So just ask for a gift card and you can have happiness at Christmas time. So a few weeks ago, about a month ago, something like that, we did an episode on Marvel Snap, and I'm in a Discord with one Tony Riccio where we're in there with a bunch of friends, and he had before the episode he had given some opinions on about Marvel Snap, and
I just openly flamed it, right? Like
no, it would actually it wasn't that bad, honestly, but it and really I don't think I even asked your permission to do this, but
it was implied consent, Jay. It was okay.
Okay.
I wrote it into an electronic format.
Okay. I took what you had said and repeated it as someone as an authoritative voice, someone who loves CCGs, and at that point I hadn't played a ton of the game, and Trevor's response was, "Well, Tony's just wrong."
So and it was said ever so gently, just like that too.
Just like I always do.
Catching up the listeners on the story so far, like the to be continued moment.
So Tony, you were like, well, I'm going to play a little bit more of this game so that I can speak authoritatively on why it's bad, and then you fell in love with it.
I fell in love so hard.
Okay, so
I assume that Tony has collection levels that I can't even conceive of at this point.
What is your collection level, Tony?
We're being recorded, you guys. Like,
I know,
like
and we're asking the paywall.
A woman
Your
her
wife
age,
won't listen.
don't ask a man what's your collection level. I think I'm in the 2000 range.
Holy smokes!
So I've been playing a lot.
You did hit in the season. Is it at
Infinite,
level 100 you hit Infinite? Is that right?
Yeah.
So you did hit that in this previous season.
Like 7 days, I think. 10 days. Something like that.
As one does when you are a collectible card game savant.
Yeah. No, yeah, savant or addict. Either way. But yeah, so I'm a big believer that like video games, card games, board games, the challenge I put most of them is they should feel a little bit like drugs. Like you should want them more. You should think about them when you wake up the next day. Like there should be like a little draw to them. And games that I've like played and like, yeah, no, I'm trying to make them be fun. What like Artifact was a big one that failed. Doesn't feel like drugs test.
Oh, dang it. Yeah, hold on.
And
that hurt my heart a little bit.
Yeah.
I was so ready for that one.
So I'll have to go back to your artifact episode and eat Chrome.
I actually think that was like Jay and I Christmas gifted each other artifact stuff back in the day.
Oh, and I tried so hard. So when I went through the tutorial, that was kind of like the biting phrase that Jay repeated. It's like this failed the feels like drug test. This feels like drinking LaCroix. Like I'm supposed to like it, but I don't. This is for adults that are not me. Like this is not drugs. This is LaCroix. And Trevor, what intrigued me was you kind of baited the hook. You were like, well, Tony, it doesn't sound like Tony's tried enough of the game yet. And at his level, I think he's right. But
I mean, you are.
He gets deeper into the game.
Yeah, I mean the things you said were true for the very early part of the game. Like it does a really good job, and I'm actually going to complain about one thing that it doesn't do well. It does a really good job of sort of introducing you slowly. My complaint, and maybe Jay probably has this complaint as well, is I think it does it just a little too slowly. Yeah.
When you say just, you mean like, and I get that they're probably trying to appeal to a broad market, and so that's
they are.
I understand, but it started off way too slow for me. Like it felt like I spent hours and hours of, okay, I'm going to try to have my deck be full of creatures or heroes cards that are good for their place on the resource curve. And that's basically as deep as the game is. And that's how it is at the start.
One mid-range deck you play on curve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, so I am now, I realize that we're not supposed to, I guess, talk about this on air is what I've just been told is the polite thing. But I think my card level is like 280, something like that. So I'm just a little bit into the second card pool.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez, I'm deeply shamed. I'm pretty sure I've been playing more than Jay, and I'm still not that high. I gotta check.
I'm at 311. And I honestly, I would probably say that I'm still a little bit in the category of your first opinion, Tony.
Yeah.
It's like, it's fine. I'm currently in a state of, I wish that I loved this game more because I would like to, I would like to have a fun game to play, while like a crappy TV show is on or whatever.
Oh, good. I feel a little better. I'm ahead of Jay. I'm at 556.
See, there you go, Josh. Good job.
Yeah, go me.
So,
and I think I'm getting into weird cards now too.
So, Tony, what would you say set the hook? What is it that changed your mind?
So, I 100% wanting to impress Trevor Christensen. That was it.
Sure, yeah.
That's what I wanted to do. So I gave myself like a night or two more. I'm like, I'm gonna play this game, try a really thorough volume, so I can speak to it and have an opinion one way. Like I want to be open-minded. I was going for that, and so then kind of going through the next two pools. So pool 2 is from 222 up to 468, 486, something like in that neighborhood. And that's where the game, pool 2 is a bunch of really functional cards. And so 60 to 70% of the end meta decks are staples you all get through pool 2. And pool 2 establishes the other deck archetypes you're going to see a lot of. And so you get more tempo, combo, flexible, like control decks and some proactive strategies. Like Zoo's really popular there. But you can fully take just pool 2 decks all the way to infinite very easily. This is also where I think they unlock more. I don't know if that's the case, but it felt that way. More locations start to be relevant, or maybe they're just a bigger part of the gameplay as you start hitting pool 2 opponents. The biggest realization that hit me within like the second or third day was that the game wasn't really about the cards. So a lot of people talk about poker as a card game, but you don't play cards in poker. They're private information. There's public information on the table. What you play are chips. Poker's predominantly about chip play. It wasn't until the second or third day that I was like, this game isn't actually about the cards. It's way more about betting. It's about snapping. And that's where it started to kind of grab my attention. And then I just played a violent amount more and had a lot more. Yeah. So the betting system, the snapping, you could climb very effectively and have a losing record with your deck.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's about reading your opponent's
because
hand.
you're losing at the right time.
Because you lose at the right time.
Yeah.
Retreating so I mean, I guess let's, for our listeners who may not be as familiar with Marvel Snap or with the snapping system, can you give, I guess, a
Sure.
explanation of what it is and why it's so important?
So every game, you're playing over, they call them cubes. There's probably Marvel lore to it. Each of you put one into a pot. So that's kind of like your ante into the game. The winner is going to get back their own cube that they bet in, and then yours if they win. If you lose the one cube you put into the pot. At any time, each of you gets to bet once. That bet increases the stakes of the game. So by the last round, the odds will double. So you'll have to put in a second cube to see the sixth turn of the game. Winner will be up 2 then on a bet of. They'll get 4 cubes on a bet of 2. But if both of you bet in, the stakes really increase. And suddenly both of you have put in 4 cubes and the winner's going to take 8. You're also allowed to retreat out. And so in games where you've played all 6, you're on the end of the 6th turn. If neither of you betted at that moment, the stakes are very, very low. And this is kind of a nice thing where if you're high on the ladder and you want to experiment with a deck, just make sure that you're not betting a lot and increasing the stakes on something you're not great with piloting and you know you're going to have poor odds or a poor return on it. But if you know the meta really well and you're missing a couple of key cards for a deck, it's not a problem because you'll make huge bets on all of the shots that you think you're going to win. And then you'll back out where you see that you're going to get taken. And so you'll still have a very positive cube win rate. Did I articulate that okay?
Yeah, I think so.
And you made me realize what a terrible player I am.
Why?
That was not my intention.
Why
buddy.
is that, Josh?
Because I just don't think I pay good enough attention to the betting. I'm basically like a skilled player's dream. Because I'm like, I just hit the snap button ASAP. Why not?
So I'm not skilled by any means, but I do find that there are certain people who are just like you, Josh, who they are snapping when I don't feel like they should, and basically I'm just taking their cubes.
Yeah. I'm just a resource for other players to mine.
Yeah, I'm sure that gets less and less as you get past my skill level, but there's certainly quite a few people I'm just staring at the screen going, are you serious? Like I'm winning all 3 locations. I pretty much know what they have in hand and know that there is no possible way in hell they could win, and they're snapping. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll take your cubes, I guess.
So early on, I felt I was playing like somebody's kid that had their iPad. I was like, this is a bot or a child. I'm not playing a human.
I'm still convinced that that's true for the early collection levels. I swear.
So yeah, got Pat, and that's into pool 2, and then pool 3. I think Josh, maybe some of the stuff you're seeing now. The builds are fully refined. You start seeing different choke points in the game, like the hand size. You can have a maximum of 7 cards, so mill strategies are kind of interesting. Having to worry about the board size, you can only play 4 cards per location, and the density of points. And then I think I got to have it. What makes me, I think, long-term very excited for the game is the thoughtfulness in the mechanics in the game. Things that they're using to induce meta churn or to very subtly balance the meta overall are fantastic. So I think that game I hope it has good longevity. I'm really enjoying
You're
it.
feeling legs on it.
I'm feeling legs on it. They're just doing smart things, yeah.
So I guess I'd be interested in, as our resident CCG expert, I'd be curious.
Trevor, yeah, 100% Trevor. The guy who was right here.
The guy, the running joke, Tony, is that Trevor says that he hates card games, but they're far and away the games that he plays the most of.
I do hate card games.
I can go back and pull the recording, Trevor, but that is what you said.
I hate card games.
Yes.
I'm still saying I hate card games.
Okay.
There's no denying I hate card games.
Okay. And is it also still true that you play a very large quantity of card games?
Ascension is calling right now.
Do you mean F1 Manager?
No, that wasn't what I meant.
I mean, stick a potato in your pocket, wrap yourself in tinfoil, and go die in a fire.
Okay, well, so Tony, I guess I'm curious on your views of your evolution of different card games you've played, and where you think this game kind of fits within the evolution of CCGs.
Where do I think it fits in the evolution of CCGs? Like longevity or intelligence?
I guess I would say, sorry, it wasn't a very clear question, but if like I remember playing Magic,
yeah,
all these years ago when it first released, and then Hearthstone came out, and it fixed some of the things that were aggravating to me with Magic, with the way that they dealt with mana and with classes, etc. And it feels like this game continues to have evolutions within the collectible card game genre. And so I guess you know way more about card games than I do. What would you say are the notable landmarks within the history of collectible card games? And where do you think this one fits in that?
So I think I do think it takes a lot from predecessors and is at it trying something different.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things most notably with Magic was you've got 60 cards and there's mana in there, and boy oh boy, you hope you draw enough.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the variance in the game as you sat down was, did you draw mana? That was just it. And everybody's been flooded and everybody's hit drought. And that led to a lot of non-games. So an important feature that Hearthstone brought to it that past Magic was there's a programmatic mana curve. So it bought you something. Okay, player agency exists in every game. I'm getting rid of the non-games. But they had to create more variance in the game because they were removing some. And one of their solves for it were the cards that are going to generate things. And that did add variance. And people had to react to the variance, which takes skill. But it also was variance without agency, which doesn't feel great, especially if it takes a long time to resolve. People don't mind flipping a coin and seeing if it comes up heads, tails. Flipping a coin takes a couple of seconds. If you told me the outcome of a coin flip takes 15 minutes to watch, I'm not watching. So kind of one of the things that large CCGs suffer from a lot is actually metas become solved very quickly. And one of the things that I love that's happening with Marvel Snap is the location system and how they're actually using it to induce churn in the meta a lot. Hey, this location's going to come up more. So for the listeners, there's three locations that you play the cards on, and each of the locations has a different effect. And some of those effects favor or disfavor decks in the meta materially. And so as the locations change, there's a favorite location for the next 2 days. The meta will totally warp for 2 days. And then it'll go back or it'll adapt a little bit. I think that's really smart. It's a good way to induce churn in the meta without having to change the cards a ton. Another cool thing they're doing is they're drip feeding cards in. That's another way to induce meta churn. That gets around this like big solving issue. They also have this, there's just a ton of things that create randomness that players can react to, and it resolves very quickly. Again, like games are 6 turns and 5 minutes. There's a lot of you can make intelligent choices and react to them or not. and then rinse and repeat. It's okay because it resolves, and the whole thing resolves in 5 minutes. It's fine. That allows them to. Sorry.
I was just going to say, one of the things that always irritated me about Hearthstone was that it felt like the meta, after a new set came out, the meta sort of, even before the set released, they had already come up with decks for that series. And the meta did shift a little bit throughout the set, but it felt like it didn't shift a lot. You know what I mean?
I don't feel like Hearthstone's meta ever shifts a ton. Like,
it felt like it was already set by the time by the time you had the cards in hand, quote unquote cards in hand, the meta had already been set by those who were far more skilled than I was.
So some of my favorite periods in Hearthstone were the early adventures that came out 1 week at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got little blocks of build around cards. And I remember getting it's like Aggro Shaman before Reno Jackson came out. Like it was like Thanksgiving weekend, whatever that year that was. It was crazy fun. And then the meta there was just aggro everywhere because there was nothing to rein it in. And then Reno Jackson, which was like a huge healing piece, came in the week after it and totally shifted the meta back. That was fun. The locations actually are also, and I'm wondering if they'll use them this way. It's a really nice way to subtly balance the meta if something's out of control without touching the cards too much. So you could affect the how often certain locations appear that favor certain decks, and that would put more pressure on one of the decks that was winning too much, or let one of its counters come back into favor. But to answer your original question, Jay, there's a lot of good foundational design pieces put into the game that I think give it opportunity for a good lifetime. So then it depends how they monetize it and curate the game.
So one of the things that, and the first review that we talked a fair bit about was the game length of the game, and you referenced it, just now as well. It is a very fast game. It has a set time limit. It's played over 6 turns. On the one hand, I'm curious of your guys' reactions to this, but on the one hand, there's part of me that's like the old man who shakes fist at clouds, who is like, these kids with their tiki-talkies and, they have no attention span. But on the other hand, it is fun to play a game that is going to be a very quick, bite-sized, hopefully rewarding experience. Has it been your guys' experience, or what's your opinion on, do you feel like you get the strategic depth that you're liking when you're playing a game on something that's this bite-sized?
I mean, how many decision windows are there in Texas Hold'em? It feels like there's good, meaningful decisions. It does feel attractive, even though it's short.
What's been Josh? You're someone who has played some. I don't think that of lately, and granted, I understand you have been busy ascending to your throne. But I think of late.
I mean, you could definitely get in a few games of Snap between votes for sure.
Yeah, see, there you go. But you haven't played as much lately. What's been your thoughts on it, or why haven't you played as much of late?
I think part of why I haven't played as much of late. Well, okay, number one, Hearthstone still has my heart for some dumb reason.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Stockholm Syndrome, buddy.
Yeah, I think it is, right? Like, I do love going back there occasionally. But also part of it was that it's basically FOMO, but the reverse effect. Like, I have FOMO because I see all of my, nerdy friends talking about, they're at collection level 2000 or whatever. And they're like, look at these amazing decks with this combo of this. And I'm like, well, I don't even know. I don't even know what that card is. I didn't even know that thing could exist. And so, and I haven't gotten cards that have made me feel like, oh, I should make a new deck now or whatever. Right. And so some of the luster has worn off a little bit for me, I think. Now, hearing Tony talk about it, am I going to go boot it up again as soon as the podcast is over? Clearly at this point. But I think that's what's happened with me, honestly.
So I'm not that far ahead of you, Josh. I'm at collection level 660.
Well, maybe I need to. Look, I am a harlot for net decking. And you shouldn't even need to net deck in Snap.
No, definitely.
Right? Your decks are what is it, 11 cards?
12.
12
12 cards, right? Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking I had America Chavez in every deck, which means it's really only an 11 card deck.
You should. She's a great card.
But I'm just so lazy that I still am like, I want somebody to just send me a deck.
I'll
so we
send
can do
one
that.
right after the podcast.
Maybe I need to.
Not a
Yeah.
problem.
Okay. There you go.
Done.
Then I'll have some Snap aspiration.
I will thank Tony for this. He sent me to Marvel Snap Zone, and you should go there too.
Oh.
Yeah.
That'll definitely ruin my productivity tomorrow.
So this is Jay,
My-
another huge compliment to the game. Net decking isn't a great strategy.
Yeah.
Actually, being
Because the meta's churning so much. Is that why?
if predictability of the opponent, being able to be read very easily is a huge disadvantage.
Yeah, I mean, so the part of the issue that I'm currently dealing with is, I'm a little bit into Pool 2. My decks are not as mind-numbingly boring as they were when I first started playing the game. But, basically I have a discard deck, I have an on-reveal deck, I have, an ongoing affected deck. But I still feel like I don't have
meaningful counterplay.
If I were like, I'm going to go build a cool new deck, I'm already playing most of my good cards in those 3 decks.
Yeah.
So I probably just need to continue buckling down, and honestly I probably should. I did on the last season I did the $10 League Pass, which I don't
some Black Panther action.
Yeah, it was Wakanda season. I don't regret it at all. I certainly got $10 worth of enjoyment out of it, and I think it did likely help speed up my progression a little bit. And I haven't done that yet with the new season that just barely began. But it's probably what I need to do is
oh my god, yeah. So
try to power through some of that.
not to advertise for the game more than I already am. So this month you get Silver Surfer, and he has an effect where on reveal give all your 3 cost cards additional points. I forget if it's like 2 or 4.
I think it's 4.
4. Yeah, so it's it's a big effect. Maybe
Yeah.
it's 3 cost cards 3. That'd be easy to remember. Either way, it's a big effect, but it's also like I said, it's a build around card that they purposely put in the release. So it's a very exciting, what are all my 3 cost cards? And I'm going to see if I can make those pop.
Oh, yeah.
But
is there stuff that synergizes well with the Surfer?
There's a ton. Yeah. And he looks like a bunch of the old meta decks. So as I was climbing today, I was just like, oh, that was a Silver Surfer deck. Weird. Well, I lost. And this gets into your ability to read your opponent. So if somebody's net decking, you really know if it's coming or not. So you definitely know if you're going to win and you bet a lot, or when you lose and you back off. The moments where I lose a lot of cubes are some weird final drop or combo or something that I don't see coming.
Sure, yeah.
And this is where there's enough variance in the game that homebrew decks can still be really viable, especially with the snapping system in place. That if they don't have to have a positive win rate to still climb well, especially if you're really catching people off guard and gobbling up a lot of cubes when you win. And that's fun. It's fun to not have to net deck to also be able to do it, create a homebrew or put in a weird tech choice and have it work. That's fun. So I think there's just a lot for different card gamers.
So we've had a fair number of listeners who've started playing the game or were playing it before we did the episode. But what would be your recommend or advice for players that are looking to get on your level?
Oh God.
I like how you put that.
and my level is having a lot of fun. That's
Oh.
what we're going. So I think yeah. So fun with the game. I think it's good to come in with healthy expectations. So free to play is doable with the game. It's harder because other people will have more pieces. But if you invest enough time to get into Pool 2 and you play really tight, you'll be fine in the game. I think a very reasonable spend rate is probably the $20-ish a month, like the monthly pass and a little bit. I think that plus playing gets you anything you'll need compared to anybody else. Like you won't have all the cards. I don't think anybody will have all the cards, but you'll have enough to have fully refined decks in
I
like
fully
your second
expect
month.
there's going to be some whales out there that have just spent.
It's aggressive. It's a lot. It's a pretty big curve they've set up to get to that level.
Yeah.
Probably someone. It won't be me, which says something. And then I think there's just it's not taking in all of the elements that it's actually not just about the cards. The game's predominantly about the betting mechanic. And although there's a lot of variance, the games also iterate a lot very quickly, which lets you learn as a player and iterate and improve, so I think and just have fun. It's a game. If you don't like it, play F1 thingy that Trevor's doing, or get your kids off the Xbox and play the other one, or whatever.
I feel like I was just coached by Roy Kent.
There wasn't
He's
a single
here.
swear word in there.
He's
That's-
there.
That is not Roy Kent.
That's
I
right.
was coached in the pre-ramble. Get all my swearing out.
So Trevor, what would you say is your current feelings on the game?
So I don't play it as heavily as Tony does, obviously, but I make sure to log in once a day and play all of my missions, just so that I'm not leaving anything on the table. I honestly, my biggest goal right now, and maybe this is how they're getting me, is I have a deck I desperately want to play, but I'm missing one card from Pool 3, so I'm basically like just pushing to try to find that one card.
What's your chase card?
I probably shouldn't tell because like it is more of a is a Josh Wheeler style deck. Like I don't think it's
tell me more.
I don't think it's actually any good.
The chaos is in it, baby.
So the card is
it Agatha? Please tell me it's Agatha.
No.
Okay.
It's
Say it
it's
again.
Debris.
Debris.
Oh my god.
Hey, I have debris.
It's
So
Debris, two eyes. So the Debris, sorry, I don't have the card, so I can't look it up. But you play Debris. She puts rocks on your side of the board and rocks on your opponent's side of the board. And this is like a kazoo deck, so you're trying to increase their power, and basically you increase the power of your rocks while your opponent's rocks just take up spots on their
Choke
side.
up space.
You
Yeah.
deserve coal for Christmas for liking that card. That's horrible.
I
I'm
love
like
that
smiling
card.
ear to ear and hating you on the inside. Like it's a roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah, I had somebody play it on me, and I was like, they started playing these one-cost cards, and I'm, this game's gonna be easy. And then all of a sudden he started buffing them, and then he threw out rocks on my side of the board, and I'm like, well, there goes my opportunity to win because I can't. Like he's filling my side of the
Yeah,
board.
he's used my space.
Yeah, I'm like, this is BS. I was very unhappy about
This
that.
is
So now
BS. I want it.
Yeah,
like,
that,
I'm now
that, that does make me so happy.
Yeah. Trevor, that's not a great deck.
I know it's not.
It'll
I
be
know it's
it'll
not.
be super fun though.
I just want to know if there's a good Morbius deck because
That Morbius was my first Pool 2 card that I got. And I was like, oh no, is this like the worst ill omen that I like the most awful movie of recent history?
I think the problem with Morbius, and I don't know because my collection is not high enough, but I feel like there's not enough discard cards available at the lower pools to make it actually work.
I think Discard struggles even into Pool 3. Like I haven't really played it a ton yet. I actually got Hellcow today.
I do have debris, Trevor. You should send me your stupid deck idea.
Yes.
Josh is all the way in now.
Daddy want.
What
Hold on,
would-
I've got to go buy the Silver Surfer premium month or whatever. I'm going premium plus, boys.
Do it.
So
And I'm naming this deck Rocks Fall, Everyone Dies.
Nice.
what would you say have been the decks or archetypes that you've enjoyed the most so far, Tony?
Through pool 2, I played Kazoo. Like I had a very
Sure.
partial, which is it's just, I think it is very straightforward to pilot. And at first I felt like ashamed of that, but then I realized I was a new player and there was so much randomness with the other
Mhm.
people and the locations that just not worrying about my play and focusing on theirs was enough to take on. So I played that a long time, probably up until about level 70. And then I started playing the Dino control deck. So
Moon Girl, right?
Moon Girl, yeah. So you'll try to make your hand end the game with 7 cards in your hand is a full hand size, and that makes I forget the name of the dinosaur, but he's 7 times 17, 15 power, and sometimes you can get 2 of them, which is really cool. So that's just like a lot. Devil Dinosaur, yeah. So you can put a lot of power on the board pretty quickly.
So I'd never seen the Devil Dinosaur deck before, and I built basically the equivalent of a card advantage deck, where I was drawing as much as I could, and built the deck of the Devil Dinosaur deck before I'd ever seen it played, and then started playing it and was winning a bunch. And maybe it's just because of the pool I was in, but then all of a sudden I started seeing it everywhere, and I'm sure I'm not the first person to think of it. I never saw it for probably 3 or 4 days, and then all of a sudden it popped up everywhere.
And then I got a few pieces that like really amped up those decks, and I just kept. So that kind of transitions into a Sarah deck if you get her. Sarah discounts the cards in your hand by 1, so she lets you have a little more burst at your end game. And then Zoo becomes Zooier, like it's. I don't know how to.
The Zooanine Electric Zoogaloo.
Yeah, I don't know the adjective for that, but Zooier is yeah. But yeah, they're all fun. I like all of the. I still don't have pieces for a lot of the big end meta decks. Ironically, but I've been happy with the decks I've been able to play and having fun. I play like bad partial versions too. Like you don't need.
What pool are you in at 2,000 or whatever?
I'm still through, like probably I don't know, halfway, 2/3 of the way through 3.
Have they?
Are there 5 pools? Is that right?
Yeah, and 4 and 5 I think are like I don't know what they're just.
Madness.
They're hard to get. They're madness.
That sounds ridiculous to me. That I'm at 660 and you're at 2,000. We're still in the same pool. That boggles my mind.
I've got a lot of avatars and titles. The meaningful cards you get don't change a ton past pool 2. That's like 70% of your decks.
Well, are there any final thoughts on the game before we wrap things up?
Just doubting Trevor in any board or card game.
Especially card games.
Well, it will find you a guest slot on the show. Also comes with a lot of shame.
In fairness, I was kind of excited for you to do a couple-day deep dive into the game and then come onto the show and tell Trevor all the reasons you're wrong. But this has been fun too.
I know, Trevor. I have to be honest first and foremost. It's a delightful game. I'm having a guess.
Well, let me just. So I think that even if this game had failed, or if it does go on to fail eventually, or whatever its future is, I just want to say that there's a couple of things about it that I hope I see more in future games, and not just card games, but board games in general. One of the things that it does, simultaneous play, quick resolution, those sorts of things are really, they've done it so well that I hope that it becomes sort of the standard, that the 20-minute game of Hearthstone goes bye-bye. There's nothing more than having that opponent rope every round in Hearthstone that makes me want to just pull my hair out. So, they've done a really good job of kind of reducing and removing that sort of thing. And I think that sort of design philosophy can be taken to other things as well, not just collectible card games on mobile devices.
All right. Well, Tony, thank you very much for taking the time to come on the podcast with us. You're amazing. Thank you very much.
You guys are amazing. Thanks for having me, fellas.
Anytime. The invitation is always open. And
just remember, if you need good Christmas gift ideas, get behind the paywall, because Jay is giving out the good ideas behind the paywall.
It's true. It's true. All right. Well, let us know what you guys have been thinking of Snap, and stay tuned until next week.